my biggest intention is how to not leave any manifestors behind, especially now that I'm not really doing sessions anymore, so that people really have the tools they need to go much deeper. So therefore, everybody sent back that they really needed help of like day-to-day process, how to navigate the workshops, how to go deeper. So in my mind, what I had also been doing collectively throughout the last couple of years is serving my most magnetic clients. And I have a handful of 5. And these people are like a freak of nature. They're the ones who literally think of something and then they get the email for it later that evening. They're so, so incredibly magnetic. So when I really started to put together what is it that they all share in common, though very different from one another, what are those key elements? And we came up with 4 that all of them collectively shared and that just like brings everything to them. And so those 4 elements are free, authentic, integrated, and expanded. And so I'll do like a little overview of some of them, and then today we'll get more into authentic, and I'll give you a little taste of it to take inventory on. And then after we do that, I'm gonna open up the floor for just a massive Q&A. This is your time to really ask anything you're going through in your process, anything you wanna know, and everybody else can benefit. That's how I like to sort of approach the work right now, because one person's question can answer so many others that they didn't even know that they had. All right, so going into the 4 elements of magnetism, let's start first with free. So free is a really, really key component, and these words don't directly totally correlate with the meaning of free. It's more of the energetic that I see each of these elements being. So what free really, really represents is that you hold all the power in a situation and you're completely unafraid to say no to anything that doesn't serve you, say no to anything that isn't what you want, without having any real struggle about it. You're just like, nope, that's not what I want. It's not good for me. Cool, carrying on. So it's this huge liberation in your life, and that goes for like possessions in your life. It goes for jobs, suitors, to, I mean, like energetic stuff that's coming your way, of being in that pure, pure freedom and completely empowered, unafraid to say no. And so the way that these 4 elements will work is we've crafted them as roadmaps. So essentially, basically, it goes through and talks a little bit about what they are, and then it would kind of give that description that I just gave of free. You would go through and do a DI that navigates you through to take inventory of how much on a subconscious level you really are these elements. You'll have some journal prompts that help you actually remember what you did in the DI and what you discovered. And then from there, we give 3 months of work. So it's kind of what you would do if you were in session with me. Essentially, it's me being like, take these 3 specific things back through reparent. This is what you'll also be doing in the conscious state. So we go week by week by week of what you need to do, of how to navigate the actual workshops that exist. So they work really well for the beginner who's just stumbling into the work, and they're like, what workshops do I take, how and when and what and why? Or they work really well for the experienced manifestor who's like, cool, how do I take this way deeper and more specific now? So it kind of benefits everybody. So that's free, essentially, of the roadmap. And we'll have a beautiful little kind of quiz that Amanda put together on the site where people can go to the page and they can really look at it. Kind of asks questions. If you're really skilled in this, go here, go there, and it'll drag you down to what you might be lacking the most strength in. So that's free. Then we go into integrated, which anybody in here who's done shadow understands a brief overview of what that means. It means that you're purely, wholly integrated, that nothing outside of you holds power over you. How many people in here have done the shadow workshop or a form of shadow work? Cool, a lot of you guys will probably be working through integrated. So essentially what that means with shadow is a huge component to manifestation. And I really learned that I would say I stopped spiritual bypassing around the age of 27 because I realized that the think positive model didn't really get me anywhere, and it wasn't really pulling anything into me, no matter how positive I was or how much I visualized. But I did start to realize that anywhere I held shame or pain that made me feel inferior to a situation or not good enough for something or made me afraid to try something, that's where I actually had shadow. And so what shadow means, they're these rejected aspects of ourselves that we learn through childhood, through either watching other people's experiences with our caretakers or through media, peer your peers, modeling through shame that something about us wouldn't be lovable if we actually inhabited that. So therefore we completely detach from it and we reject it. So like a great example of that, if you are the person who comes from the two finance parents, on Wall Street, but you're an artist and you grow up with them telling you art's always a hobby, it's really sweet to do that in art class, but you'll never make it, and you didn't grow up around any artist, and you have this authenticness inside of you, this gift that's art, there's pretty much a 0% chance that you feel integrated in art unless you've gone on to your adult life and spent a lot of time around successful artists who have really helped you reintegrate this back into yourself. Usually it's something that's a shame, a rejection. So that means that anytime you are applying for an art job after art school and somebody's going to look at your portfolio, you instantly cringe that you might not be good enough, right? Whenever we have those triggers that something else holds power over us, that's called shadow. We need to integrate. So these clients of mine who are just so purely magnetic are pretty integrated. It means that they're not judging people outside of them, and not in like the yogic I love everyone way. They genuinely realize that anything that's triggering their judgment is just an aspect of themselves that they've rejected in childhood or adolescence or early adulthood. So they don't have those judgments of others. They can very easily accept compliments and anything good coming their way or something good said about them, as well as they don't have any power cords tied into other people or other things. So meaning other people or other things have to validate them. Another great thing when I have people come to me that are like, how do I grow my business and my social media following and all of that? I'm like, where are you afraid to be seen? Once you start integrating that, the world won't be able to take its eyes off of you because that's what we all desire the most. So shadow is one of those key things that will help you be seen in the world, because wherever you're afraid to be seen, nobody else is tuning in either. That's what actually creates that projection and that pull of magnetism. So that's the integrated element that will exist as well. And then that takes us into expanded. How many people are familiar with what that term means? Expanders and expanded. Hi. Okay, cool, a lot of you. So expanded, it's going to be beautiful to really take your inventory on all of the things you're trying to manifest, because what these clients share in common is that on a very subconscious level, from the smallest things to the greatest things that they're wanting to manifest, they've been expanded in it. They know it exists on a subconscious level. They know they can have it. They've seen to believe that it's possible. Therefore, when they start to just have these intentions, like I might want this thing, because they're integrated, we'll get into authentic, they have total freedom of like, see you later if it's not the right thing, and they've been expanded, therefore that stuff comes very instantly for them. So that will be another roadmap that I don't have to go that deep into. It'll be pretty self-explanatory. And that brings us to authentic, which is my favorite because it actually determines the most magnetism of them all. The other ones are, like me, you guys will probably find that at some points you're very strong in some of them, and that at others you need to strengthen your weaknesses. So for me, I basically grew up on I'm an Aquarius. I had two young parents that were like, do whatever you want. We don't care. Like they're just very free. Like they're cool and they don't take anything that's not theirs or less than it. So for me, freedom's always been a very strong one. Even when I do the DI on it, I'm like, I don't need anything here. I'm pretty good to go. So that's like a very strong suit for me, whereas authentic is still something I'm working through and working on. So let's get into that because it's my favorite. So authentic, I wonder if we should do the DI first and then I should explain it. So you guys have a totally fresh slate to just take inventory. Let's do that, and then afterwards we'll really discuss it, because I want you to have your own experience of what that might mean.